this video is ridiculous, right? I'll acknowledge that, because what organization in their right mind would trade one of the greatest players in NBA history in the middle of their prime, a guy that makes them a perennial finals contender? What team would trade that type of guy?
He finds Luka to beat the clock. Got it!
Oh yeah, that's right. Listen, after that Luka trade, I don't want to hear anybody say that this video is unrealistic, because we all lost that right once Luka Doncic put on a Lakers jersey. So save your, that 2K ass trade comments. Save those for yourself. Don't go down below and comment, Nikola Jokic is not getting traded. You know why? Because nobody is safe. But also comment whatever the hell you feel like, because it all helps the algorithm, and subscribe while you're at it. I do appreciate it. But anyways, I had another plan for today's video. I was going to react to the new Bleacher Report mock draft now that the tournament is over, but we'll save that for another day, because while I was in the middle of work today, we got another shams bomb, shams wow, whatever the hell you want to call it, that said the Denver Nuggets have fired head coach Michael Malone. Not Mike Malone, Michael Malone. He will get mad if you call him Mike.
Nuggets, Mike Malone, and coach
Michael Malone.
Michael Malone. My apologies, coach.
But they fired Mike Malone, which is absolutely insane to me. I couldn't believe it. The rest of the NBA world, of course, was in shock as well. How do you fire a guy who just helped you win a championship 2 years ago versus the Miami Heat? So obviously I like to forget that. But he still won a championship 2 years ago. Does that mean nothing to them? Does that not get him any sort of credit within an organization? Does that not earn him any benefit of the doubt? Because of course things aren't going great for the Nuggets this season, but it's not a dumpster fire. They're still 15 games above 500. They're well within the playoff picture. And the fact that, they might not be as good as they were 2 years ago, I think that has very little to do with Michael Malone, and a lot to do with the fact that they decided to overpay Michael Porter Jr. They couldn't retain guys like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown, and they lost a lot of depth. That has nothing to do with Mike Malone, who's going out there trying to win games with Nikola Jokic and a bunch of bums. Because Jamal Murray's been in and out of the lineup. I don't think Michael Porter Jr.'s been that good. Obviously, Aaron Gordon's a solid player. Christian Braun and Westbrook's had a nice season. But outside of that, look who the Nuggets are rolling out there. He certainly does not have a lot of help outside of Nikola Jokic. And I think 15 games above 500 in the Western Conference is not anything to sneeze at. Now, there's been some other reports that came out today that basically the owner and Michael Malone never really spoke. They didn't really have a relationship. So I do think it's important for the head coach of your team, of your team, and the owner of that franchise to have some sort of relationship. Why those two didn't speak, I don't really know, but clearly their relationship was frosty for some reason. I know the clip from Mike Malone a couple of weeks ago has been resurfacing where he had a hard call out of his players, maybe the hardest call out I've ever heard a coach do, in which he basically said that our team's not watching film, a bunch of guys are out there BSing, and he went on. And I mean, I thought that was a bit harsh. Maybe those things don't need to be said in public, but I'm not one to shy against tough love. Heat culture is not shy of tough love either. So I get it. And I kind of appreciated Michael Malone being brutally honest in the press conference and basically not putting up with crap, if that's what he was sawing from his team. So I kind of respected it. Maybe the players didn't, though. Maybe they didn't like his harsh coaching style. Maybe they didn't appreciate being called out in public. We know with the Heat, for example, Jimmy Butler seemed to start to kind of sour on Pat Riley once Pat called him out publicly in a harsh way, telling him to keep his mouth shut if he's not out there playing. These players are people too. They might take some things personal. Maybe that had something to do with it, but I don't think that's the reason they fired him. And if it was, I don't think that's a good reason to fire someone. So, I mean, who knows why he actually got fired? Who knows if we'll ever find out? I just think it's ridiculous. It's blasphemous to fire a guy to completely clean house. Because mind you, they also fired the GM, who you can blame for not resigning a few guys, overpaying MPJ and stuff. You can blame the GM, but to also fire the coach to completely clean house 2 years after winning the championship is ridiculous. It really is. Listen, not every season is going to be great when you're running an organization long term. You're going to have some down years. But especially when a guy wins a championship, that's supposed to create enough stock for him to have a couple of down years. It is. That's why as a Heat fan, listen, things are not good right now, obviously. We've been stuck in mediocrity. I don't really see a path out, unless it's Nikola Jokic, which we'll get into later in this video. But I don't see a path out. Yes, Spoelstra's had a terrible season. Yes, the Heat have been even worse. But I'm not sitting here saying, oh, fire Spoelstra just because he's had a down year. He's a guy that won 2 championships as a head coach. That, to me, is enough to give him the benefit of the doubt for life. I really don't think there's anything he can do that would make me want to fire him. Now, obviously, if he was as bad this year as he is for the next 10 years, we'll talk. But I highly doubt that's going to happen because he has such a large resume of being a great coach. You look at Michael Malone, he has the most wins in their franchise history. And they just let him go like he was a piece of chopped liver. I still can't believe it. I can't wrap my mind around it. That's why, although I'm a Heat fan and things aren't great right now, I really appreciate the stability and consistency that this organization has, because I don't think that can be understated. I really don't. I think that is important when you're trying to build a contender. It's having the foundation solid. Yes, the team will change, but that's really the surface. The roster is the surface. You have a whole backbone of culture that is built from the front office up, or I guess the front office all the way down to the people on the court. And having stability in that culture, I think, is important. And if you keep going through a carousel of coaches, you're never going to get nothing fixed. Listen, the Miami Dolphins are the polar opposite of the Heat. I'm 27 years old. I think I've watched 15 Dolphins coaches in my lifetime. They have no consistency. And I think that's a large reason they haven't been a great team, and they're not a great organization. They're not a well-run organization at all. And it's frustrating. You can't win like that. And the Dolphins haven't had a coach since Don Shula that helped them sniff a championship, let alone win it like Mike Malone did. That's why even going back to the Heat side of things, people want Pat Riley retired. And I do think it's probably time for Pat Riley to hang it up just because he's literally 80 now. But people have been calling for his head for years. And I was never behind that because he's a guy that won championships here. He proved that he can build a contender. And yeah, whether all that success was built around D Wade and he didn't want D Wade in the first place, I don't care. Because at the end of the day, he was the GM and president of this team for a very long time. Before that, he was the head coach, and he was basically still had the say of who brought or who was brought to this team, what kind of culture they wanted to build. That was Pat Riley. And Mickey Arison, mind you, which is why he's making the Hall of Fame well-deserved. I just think the stability is so important, and it's ridiculous that the Nuggets fired their coach and their GM. But because they fired their GM, that got me thinking. They're going to have an interim GM for now, maybe hire another guy full-time. And does that mean that they're looking to make a splash? Because a lot of times when you get some new ownership, they're looking to make a splash. Look at the Phoenix Suns, brought in Kevin Durant, brought in Bradley Beal. Now, usually they want to try to compete right away and make a nice big splashy move to bring in some pieces. But if they can't, maybe the new owners, or not new ownership, but new front office GM, maybe they decide it's time to rebuild. Let's make a team on our own terms. So that got me thinking that there is a path. The pieces are being put into place, and it's all starting to come together. Because also, let's not forget who Nikola Jokic's young prodigy is. It's the little sweetener, Jovic, dude. Whatever you want to call him. Of course, Nikola Jokic and Nikola Jovic of the Miami Heat are very, very close. So what better way to finish your career off, Nikola Jokic, than coming down to Miami with your little protege and teaching him everything that you got to know. So before we get into the trade package, let's just kind of look at what Nikola Jokic's contract looks like. This year, he's making $51 million. That's going to go up to $55 next year, $59 the year after that. And then he has a $62 million player option in 2027 when he's only 32 years old. Because, yeah, Jokic is still, I think he just turned 30 recently. But he's still, definitely has a few more seasons left in him, you would think. And at $62 million at 32 years old, that sounds like a lot of money. But to be honest, he's probably worth it. Because this season, Nikola Jokic is actually averaging 34 points per game, 15 rebounds, and 12 assists. Now, I actually just made those numbers up because I don't have them pulled up in front of me. But I bet you believed me because that's how ridiculous Nikola Jokic has been that it would not be surprising if he was averaging a 35-point triple-double. Because every time I look at the box score, he's got 60 and 11 and 12, or 30 points, 22 rebounds, 21 assists. He's obviously a statistical monster, which is why I didn't even bother looking up his actual stats, because who cares? Like, I don't need to convince you that Nikola Jokic is one of the greatest players of all time. Usually when we do these trade videos, I'll pull up the stats, like we just did one for John Morant a week ago, and I look through the stats, the efficiency. I don't have to do that. It's very well known how good Nikola Jokic is at basketball. Obviously, might win his 3rd straight MVP this season. Like, where does he rank all time on centers? Y'all know I got my goal Hakeem Olajuwon #1, probably Kareem, and then Shaq. Then what? You want to go Wilt, and then Jokic, 5th greatest center ever? Maybe he's top 4. He really has that argument, especially if he gets another championship. I know we don't want to necessarily do recency bias and all that, but you also got to look in the moment and realize that what he's doing is insane. Obviously, there's other names, Bill Russell, who I'm not a huge fan of. Obviously, I didn't watch him play, but how good can the guy be? He was 6'9", averaged 17 points per game. Then obviously you got all kind of other names like David Robinson and whoever else you want to say. But Nikola Jokic is obviously one of the greatest players ever. I don't need to convince you that. Now, I should say too, he's still a sloppy fat boy. And I did not forgive what you did to Markieff Morris, you sloppy fat boy. That being said, I'll pay you $62 million for the next few seasons. I'll do it. The only concern that you really got with him is that he may be a guy that might want to retire early. Does that mean he'll retire after this contract in 3 years? I guess 3.5 years. Does that mean he'll call it quits at 32? I mean, maybe not, but we all know that he doesn't really love basketball. I mean, I think that's unfair. I think he obviously loves it. Otherwise, he would not be as skilled as he currently is. But we hear him talk. It's not like his passion. I guess this may be safe to say. So maybe he's a guy that doesn't play into his late 30s. Maybe he's a guy that goes and plays overseas. Maybe he plays back in Serbia. Or maybe he goes to the Lakers with his other young protege and Luka Doncic, which I could also see happening. But anyways, assuming those things don't happen, I did put together this Miami Heat trade package. All right, y'all, we have no idea how much longer this Heat season is going to last. And more likely than not, it's going to end a lot sooner than we all hoped. So let's not sleep on all the great sports that's going on right now, including the Masters, which are back this weekend. And what better way to cash in than with MyBookie? You can do live betting. You could bet outrights. You could bet matchups. You could bet long shot money bombs with MyBookie's money bag. If there's an edge, you'll find it here. And not to mention that this weekend also coincides with UFC 314. So if you're new to MyBookie, I got something that you're definitely going to want to take advantage of. Deposit any amount between $50 and $2,000 and get instantly half matched using my promo code MM50. That's MM50. And by the way, you don't even need to bet to receive it. You just get the bonus cash right away, which is actually really awesome. So if you got a good feeling about Augusta or want to take advantage of a Michael Chandler boost in UFC 314, now is the time to fire. So bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Now, let's get back into the video, in which the Heat received Nikola Jokic, and then a couple of salary fillers in Zeke Naji, Dario Saric, and Vladko Kankar. And in return, the Denver Nuggets are receiving Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, Khalil Ware, Kamehameha Jr., Pella Larson, and 4 first-round picks. Now, before I get into the actual breakdown of the package, I want to talk about the 4 first-round picks, because what you see here, the years you see, 25, 26, 29, and 31, are not actually accurate, because on the Fanspo trade machine, I can't do exactly what the Heat are allowed to do, because about a week ago, Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald put out an article basically stating how the Miami Heat can trade up to 4 first-round picks this upcoming draft, because if they miss the playoffs, they're going to have their own pick, which will be about 10 to 12 range, the Warriors pick, which would be in the early 20s, and then they'll also have their 2030 pick and the 2032 pick, which can be traded on draft night, or actually right after draft night. So what the Miami Heat can do is essentially on draft night, draft 2 players at their own pick, at the Warriors pick, with the intention of sending them to the Denver Nuggets, which is sort of a loophole that we see all the time. And then once the draft is completed, that 2032 pick opens up. They already have the 2030 pick, and that's how you get your 4 first-round picks. So that is the main portion of what the Nuggets will be getting here. Obviously, I guess Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware, because as far as what the Nuggets will be trying to do immediately, I don't know. Do they try to sell a 29-year-old Aaron Gordon? Do they try to sell a 26-year-old overpaid Michael Porter Jr. and rebuild? I don't know. If they didn't want to, I guess they could roll out a starting lineup of Murray and Hero backcourt, get a nice Kentucky backcourt. They could slide Wiggins or MPJ at the 3, Aaron Gordon at the 4, Khalil Ware at the 5. Obviously, they wouldn't have a great team, but if you're talking about getting 4 first-round picks, Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware, I think that's an absolute haul. And if they wanted to compete now, obviously Wiggins is a good player. Pelle Larson's got some potential. I think Jaime Jaquez's trade value is almost non-existent at this point, truthfully. And I didn't want to give them Nikola Jokic because I'd like them to play together in Miami. Now, obviously, this might not be a great package for them. We'll get into some other options in a little bit. But looking at the Heat side of things here, too, the Heat would be taking on some salary filler. The one of importance is Zeke Naji. That's actually huge benefits if the Nuggets can get off of that contract because he signed his rookie extension. He's going to be making about $8 to $9 million a year for the next 4 seasons. And he's a guy that doesn't play. So he's a terrible contract in terms of they're getting no value for him. Not that it's a ton of money, but it is a plus if the Nuggets are able to shed that salary as well, which of course the Heat would take on if they could get Nikola Jokic, who's obviously the main part that you care about here. And then just going into next season, if the Heat make no other moves, they could field the starting lineup of Davion Mitchell, assuming he resigns, Duncan Robinson, Hayward Highsmith, Bam Adebayo, and Nikola Jokic. The Heat would be $12.5 million under the second apron, so they would have enough money to re-sign Davion. And obviously that starting lineup, yeah, that team could win a championship. You put Jokic almost around anybody, they can win a championship. Obviously, if you're going to have Duncan and Jokic in the starting lineup, you might have some defensive concerns, but you're surrounding them with Davion Mitchell, Highsmith, the locksmith, and Bam Adebayo, the guy who should win DPOY this year. Yeah, that unit would be very solid defensively. And then you might say, oh, well, they don't have a lot of scoring in there because Davion and Duncan, whatever, Highsmith, Bam, none of them are guys that can get you 30 points any given night except for maybe Bam. But watch what Nikola Jokic will do for those guys. You telling me that Duncan Robinson, a guy who moves off ball as well as anybody I've ever seen, not named Steph Curry, you telling me he's not going to be a completely different player playing with Nikola Jokic? Oh my God, I could see Duncan averaging 25 points per game. Oh, I really can. You talking about Hayward Highsmith, a guy who's a 40% three-point shooter in the corners? Oh, he's going to be feasting if he plays with a guy like Nikola Jokic. Obviously, Davion Mitchell's been on an offensive tear this season. Bam Adebayo has really picked things up. I think that offense would have more than enough firepower. I mean, Nikola Jokic, put Nikola Jokic out there with 4 of me. We're still a top 10 offense. That's how good Jokic is. And I just really think it would be a really well-rounded starting lineup. Not to mention that you'd actually be a contender, so maybe you'd get some other guys that would want to come and play here. But that being said, I don't think the Nuggets would ever go for a package like this. 1, because I don't think they would ever trade Nikola Jokic. And 2, if they were to trade him to Miami, they would want Bam Adebayo. So for all the people that already commented, oh, how are you going to have this package and not give Bam? Well, I wish you waited to this point of the video because he would have to get Bam. I just wanted to try my hardest to do a package where they could retain Bam just because, I mean, a Bam Jokic front court. Oh, God, that's incredible stuff. But yeah. Would I trade Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware and 4 first-round picks for Nikola Jokic? Yes. Yes, I would. And if you're a Heat fan and you're saying that Bam, Hero, and all the picks and Khalil Ware and your firstborn son and your mother-in-law and your 6 future kids, if you're saying that that's too much for Nikola Jokic, you're wrong. I would trade my house for Nikola Jokic. That's how good he is, guys. Do you want to win a championship or not? You got to give to get. And there's not a lot of guys I would say this for. I would do it for Jokic. Maybe I would do it for Luka. That's in Wemby. I would do it for Wemby. That's it. You know, there's levels to this. Would I trade everyone for John Morant? No. Would I trade everyone for Giannis? No, he can't shoot. I'll trade almost everyone for Giannis. I would not trade Bam for Giannis because Bam consistently locks down Giannis. So why would I trade Bam for Giannis? That don't make no sense. But for Jokic, come on, people. Let's be realistic. I would trade whatever the hell it takes to get Nikola Jokic. That being said, let me know y'all thoughts down below. Make sure to let me know if you would trade Bam too, if you think I'm tripping. I don't know. I'm very curious to hear what y'all think. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.